My name is Tippi and I was born in a little tiny town of New Ulm, Minnesota, because the town that my parents lived in, Lafayette, was too small, didn't have a hospital, so I had to go to New Ulm.
How did you get started in your career, and how were you discovered by Hitchcock?
I was a model in New York. I was with Eileen Ford. And while I was in New York, it was during the 50s, and television was just becoming extremely popular. And everybody was staying home watching the little black box. And so out of all of those shows came, of course, the commercial. And I was very fortunate in being able to do a great number of them. And it was also very lucrative, extremely. Anyway, Alfred Hitchcock and his wife, Alma, apparently watched the Today Show, and it ran one of the commercials. It was a pet milk product. It was a diet drink, and oh gee, I think I weighed all of 100 pounds when I did the commercial. They didn't have to prove anything all those years ago. You know, now they have to be very honest and all of that. But anyway, it was a story more than just holding up a product and smiling. And apparently the Hitchcock saw this commercial, and he decided to find out who the girl was, where she was, and I had just moved to California because I wanted to give my daughter, Melanie, a little bit of independence by just being able to say, Mommy, I'm going out to play, which of course you can't do living in the city of New York. And Tuesday I was asked to go to MCA, which was not the big conglomerate it later became, but a very powerful talent agency. And the man that I met there said, Alfred Hitchcock wants to sign you to a contract. If you agree with the terms, we'll go over and meet him. Bingo. It was fabulous. So I signed the contract. It was a little bit less than my income was in New York, but it was intriguing. It was exciting. And he said, it's Alfred Hitchcock.
And you, of course, knew who Alfred Hitchcock was.
Oh, everybody knew. He was not, he had just done Psycho, and, I knew of all of his movies, of course, and he had that weekly television show.
Alfred Hitchcock Presents.
Yes.
That's right. Yeah, I've watched all the reruns.
Yeah. So that started a whole new phase of my life. When you're dealing with a genius, there were so many instances and situations just because of his brilliance. The genius that he was able to so completely control an audience and knew exactly how to do that, what buttons to push during the filming. He would literally make graphs as to when he was picking the people up and then dropping them. And it was fascinating to have an education through him about making motion pictures, because it's entirely different than doing a commercial or whatever. And the way he could control the audience. And his idea of the suspense was letting the audience in on what's happening, but the actors don't know. And that's what leads up to the suspense. And it's brilliant.
There's a wonderful scene in Marnie where he shows the shoes starting to drop out of the jacket.
Yeah. Yes.
And we all know it's going to drop. We know it's going to drop, and then he does the split screen.
Which is brilliant.
He had a way of, from watching his films, of combining humor with romance with suspense in a really interesting way. You don't normally see that in a movie. No, you don't, but
Hitchcock was unique, and I think that's what made him so successful. He had a very devious mind, and how he came up with all of these incredible stories, and the way to keep people in suspense was amazing.
Do you think there's any other directors since then that have the same?
I don't think there's another director that many of them strive to be another Alfred Hitchcock, and they can't come close. I mean, they did Psycho over again, frame by frame. It didn't work. Now, why? Hitchcock became obsessed with me, and because I was not interested in that obsession. I mean, it's a horrible thing to have somebody obsessed with you if you aren't willing to, or interested. And it became a huge problem for me, and I had to get out of it. And when I told him that I wanted to get out, he said, well, you can't. You have your daughter to, support, and your parents are getting older. I said, none of them would want me to be in a situation in which I'm not happy. And he said, well, I'll ruin your career. And he did. And he had those capabilities. He kept me under contract, kept paying me my $600 a week. And because when I got out of those two films, I was, as the Hollywood expression, I was hot. And directors and producers wanted me for their films. Hitchcock said, she's not available. And I wouldn't even know. I didn't even know.
You had Truffaut.
Yes.
Actually,
and I think that's the one that hurt the most. I'd hear about them years later. Some conversation, some slip of a conversation would come out. And I wouldn't even know that I had been asked. And that was very, very hurtful. That somebody could have that much control and be able to succeed in doing it.